If it feels like suddenly there's this explosion of new AI tools for, well, everything, art, apps, you name it, you're not imagining things. It's like we blinked and science fiction became our daily reality. So, today we're going to break down how this massive wave of AI is totally changing the game for everyone, from artists to entrepreneurs. And get this, how a single sentence, just one, could be the start of the next big thing. Let's dive in.
I mean, this quote right here from Amjad Masad, the CEO of Replit, it just says it all, doesn't it? You can just have a prompt and have an app. Think about that for a second. The old walls to creating software, years of school, thousands of lines of code, they're just crumbling down. The idea that the blueprint for a huge company could be a single sentence, it's wild. But you have to ask, is it really that simple?
Well, the numbers don't lie. This isn't just hype. This 10x, that's Replit's revenue growth in just 6 months. They shot up from $10 million to over $100 million in annual revenue. I mean, that's insane. That kind of growth only happens when something fundamental changes, when those barriers we just talked about just completely disappear. This is a real economic shift, and it's being powered by thousands and thousands of people who are finally able to turn their ideas into actual software, many for the very first time.
Okay, so what does this new reality actually look like on the ground? Let's open up this new creative toolbox that AI has handed us. We're going to look at how it's boosting everything from making art to writing really complex code.
All right, first up, let's talk about art. Because you've definitely seen these images all over your social feeds, right? Some are stunning, some are hilarious, some are just plain weird. But they're all made by AI. These text-to-image generators are everywhere now, and they basically let anyone become a digital artist just by typing out what they're picturing in their head. And yeah, it totally feels like magic, but what's actually happening under the hood is pretty cool. Most of these tools, like Midjourney or DALL-E, they use something called a diffusion model. So here's how it works. First, the AI reads your prompt and tries to understand what you want based on the millions of images it's been trained on. Then, and this is the wild part, it starts with just a screen full of random noise, literally like old TV static. And then, step by step, it starts shaping and refining that static, molding it until it matches what you asked for, and poof, an image appears. And what's amazing is that it's not just one type of tool. It's a whole ecosystem. You've got the heavy hitters like Midjourney for creating those mind-blowing, super artistic images. Then you have something like Canva, which puts that AI power right into your social media posts. For the pros, there are tools like Recraft that help you create consistent brand stuff, like logos and icons. And there are even super specific tools, like Adobe Firefly, that can create crazy text effects just from a description. Okay, so the art stuff is revolutionary for sure, but believe it or not, an even bigger shakeup is happening on the other side of the creative coin, code. This is where AI is going from just being a tool to be more like a partner you code with.
And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. The data is clear. A recent Stack Overflow survey found that a whopping 76% of professional developers are either already using AI assistants or are planning to. Let that sink in. We're way past the early adopter phase. This is becoming standard practice fast.
And we're not just talking about simple autocomplete here, not at all. This new toolkit is way more powerful. You've got conversational AIs like Claude or ChatGPT that you can literally brainstorm an entire app's architecture with. You've got these new agentic environments that can go off and handle complex coding tasks all on their own. And of course, there are the AI-powered editors like Cursor and even app builders that can get you a working prototype in just a few hours.
So all these incredibly powerful, easy-to-use tools, they're creating this whole new movement. It's empowering a new kind of creator. And it has a name, vibe coding.
So what on earth is vibe coding? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's this whole new way of building things where instead of writing in a language like Python or JavaScript, you just write in English. You describe the vibe you're going for, the function you need, what you want it to feel like. And the AI does the heavy lifting, translating your description into all the complicated code needed to make it work. It's less like programming and more like having a conversation.
And this is not just a theory. These are real stories from real people. Get this, a doctor in the UK with absolutely no coding experience wanted to build a health app. He got a quote for over £100,000. So what did he do? He used these new AI tools and built it himself for less than £100. Just let that sink in. Or how about the UX designer who's now pulling in up to 20 grand a month selling digital products that AI helps her create in just minutes? This isn't just a small productivity boost. This is a life-changing redistribution of creative power. Okay, this all sounds amazing, right? But it naturally leads to a really big and kind of tough question. If anyone can just build an app now, what does that mean for professional engineers? Are their jobs at risk? Let's look at the two sides of this debate. So in one corner, you have the optimists, like Amjad Masad from Replit. He's convinced we're right on the edge of a new age where a single person can build a really successful business, all by themselves. But in the other corner, you have the pragmatists, like Bob McGrew, a former research lead at OpenAI. He says, hold on a second. He argues that while these tools are fantastic for making prototypes, once you need to build something serious and scalable, you still need human engineers to come in and basically rewrite it from the ground up.
So clearly, there's a gap between the wild promise and the day-to-day reality. And the key to closing that gap, the thing that really unlocks all this power, isn't what you might think. It turns out it's not about learning to code. It's about learning to provide context.
And according to the people who build these things, the number one mistake people make is treating the AI like a dumb command line or like a vending machine. You just type in a lazy prompt like, make me a website, and expect magic to happen. That almost never works. All you get is frustration and, frankly, pretty junky results.
The solution, and what experts are calling the skill of the future, is something called context engineering. Think of it as the art of being a great manager for an AI. It's all about knowing exactly what information to give the AI and how to format it so that it can take your fuzzy idea and turn it into something real and genuinely useful. And this whole context engineering thing really breaks down into two parts. You've got the art side, which is like developing an intuition for how the AI thinks, getting good at breaking down a huge problem into small, bite-sized pieces for it. And then you have the science side. This is where you feed it concrete stuff, examples of what you want, bits of code you want it to imitate, and really clear rules and standards to follow. Which brings us to this really fascinating final thought. For so long, all the value was in knowing how to build something, knowing the code, the technical stuff. But now, as AI gets better and better at handling the how, maybe the whole game is changing. Maybe the most valuable human skill in the future won't be about technical ability at all. Maybe it's about having the vision to know what to build and the empathy to understand why it matters.